Hello from the Fort Lauderdale airport. Right now we're by the Temrite plane spotting area and it is really bad outside. The weather is disgusting. But that does not change anything because today we're taking a Delta 757-300, the Flying Pencil, to Detroit. So let's go to the terminal and get checked in. You know we always got to throw in some plane spotting, so here's a Spirit A321neo coming from Atlanta. Alright, so I just want to give a few tips before we get going. In Fort Lauderdale, if you've been looking at the news lately, the lines for security are insane. Stretching miles out the door, taking forever, people are missing their flights. Best thing to do is to get here an hour earlier than you should be. So if you're flying domestic, get here 3 hours early, and international 4 hours early. That's just to help you make sure you get through security on time and have some more time just to breathe and relax before you get on your plane. And departing now, we have a Southwest 737-700 headed over to Baltimore. And landing right here is a United 737-800 from Houston. A lot of the planes here are coming over to 10 right today, which is pretty unusual. Like United and JetBlue usually go 10 left. That's probably because it's extremely crowded over there. And out in the distance is a Delta 757-300, similar to what we're taking to Detroit today. This Bahamas Air 737-700 is going over to Nassau. And with all of that, let's go to Terminal 2 for Delta to get our flight to Detroit. Alright everybody, and welcome to Terminal 2 at Fort Lauderdale, which is home to Delta, Air Canada, and WestJet. As you can see right over here, the sky did clear up pretty nicely. And right here is a Delta 757, a bit smaller than what we're flying today to Detroit. So let's head into the terminal. Hopefully there are no big lines like there have been in the past few days for TSA. And we're already off to a very good start. There are no lines sticking miles out the door like there have been for the past few days. But do make sure that you get to the airport really early, as you should for any flight. Alright everybody, and welcome to Terminal 2 here. This right here is the check-in area for Delta Airlines, and next to them with the gray wall is WestJet, and all the way at the end is Air Canada. We really lucked out today because the line for security is not too long after all, as it has been in the past few days. So let's go through TSA and make our way to the gate. And just one last shot here before we go. At the very end is a dedicated line for Delta loyalty members for Sky Priority. And then on the left is the rest of the ticket counters and everything you need for Delta. Alright, and as you can see, there is not too much of a line, so let's head through TSA. Alright, and we just made our way through security, and today we're on Delta Flight 655 to Detroit, boarding at Gate D8, so let's go. And right here is our gate for today, D8. As you can see, it's a pretty large gate area because they're all shared here in Terminal 2, but it will make enough space for our flight today. Right there is Gate D9, which will be a WestJet flight to Toronto. And I do have some good news. Right now we're in the Delta Sky Club in Fort Lauderdale, which is right above Concourse D. And there are a lot of seating areas here. There's a buffet right down there. And just a lot of other places to sit, a fountain for drinks. Right down here is a nice view of the rest of Concourse D. Right there is Gate D5. And then out here is an Air Canada A330-300 headed over to Toronto. Currently awaiting departure is a Frontier A320neo going over to Dallas-Fort Worth. And then right next to it is a JetBlue A320 headed over to Punta Cana. And this Delta A321neo is headed over to Seattle. And lining up right now for 28 right final approach is our aircraft coming in from Detroit. And right out here, the Southwest 737 MAX 8 is headed over to Kansas City. And right out here is our aircraft landing from Detroit. And this right here is the Azul A330-900neo headed over to Campinas, Brazil. Alright, and after a great time at the lounge, let's go back to gate D8 to board our flight to Detroit. And here we are back at our gate D8. And right out here is our aircraft for today, November 589, November Whiskey, 23-year-old Boeing 757-300, serial number 32989, and it just arrived a few minutes ago from Detroit. Right there is our flight on the sign by the gate. Not only is our gate area crowded, but so is D9 for the flight to Toronto. Alright, so as you saw today, there was not much of a line at security, but usually, in the past couple of weeks especially, there had been insane lines. Even this morning, there was a 2-mile line sticking out the door of Terminal 2. So it's very important that you get here on time, way earlier than you should be, just so you can make it through and not miss your flight. This right here is our flight plan for today. We're going to be flying mostly along the east coast of the United States, up over Lake Erie, and then into Detroit. Let's see right here, more details. We're scheduled to fly for 2 hours and 40 minutes up at 34,000 feet, 529 miles per hour, over 1,131 miles. For those who have seen this tube being inserted into the aircraft wing before and had no idea what it was, they're just refueling the aircraft. As you can see, the guys right there on the ladder, making sure everything works, and he connected it to the aircraft, obviously. But that's the gas that gets us over to Detroit today. Alright, good news. We've been delayed. And that is because our flight crew's coming in from Boston, which should be landing in about 25 minutes. So then they have to come to our aircraft, do all the safety checks, the whole shebang. But it's alright because we do have a 4-hour layover in Detroit. And this right here is a WestJet 737-800 headed over to Toronto. Fun fact, WestJet was actually my first ever plane ride on a 737-700 from right here in Fort Lauderdale when they were back in Concourse C all the way to Toronto in 2012, I believe. Very long time ago, but that was the only time I flew WestJet, and after that we flew Air Canada a couple times here and there. It's a lot of fun. I have to say though, I do love WestJet's livery. I just think it's really cool. And as you can see right here, the Delta app says we are leaving just 11 minutes late at 11:42, and we're arriving at 2:51 instead of 2:34. Let's see how true that is though, because keep in mind, the flight attendants have to come off their flight from Boston, then come to this aircraft, do all their safety checks, everything they need. So let's see. Alright, and we're boarding now for Detroit. Good morning. And welcome aboard the Delta 757-300, the Flying Pencil. These seats right here are Comfort Plus, and then with the basic seat design is Delta Economy. And right here is our seat for today, 36F. Alright everybody, and welcome to 36F. Right here we have an adjustable headrest. Very well padded. Wow, I'm surprised considering the aircraft's age. Nice leather seat back here. Nice seat belt. Gotta stay safe here. And then everybody's favorite part, IFE screen right here with the Team USA livery as the aircraft showing up on the display. Here we also have a USB port and a headphone jack. Nice sturdy tray table right there. A little bit dirty, but it's fine. And then we have our seat back pocket with a safety card and a puke bag. And right here, our favorite part, the window. Right behind the wing today. Welcome aboard. Something important to note is that these aircraft seats are very small. The legroom is pretty short here, but considering this is an older aircraft, number one, and number two, there are almost 50 rows in this aircraft. I guess it's acceptable for today's flight. One other thing to note is that there's also a charging outlet under each seat. And this right here is our wing view for today, right next to the WestJet 737-800.
Welcome to 655 service to Detroit. Apologize for our delay on departure today. A couple of our crew members came to Fort Lauderdale from delayed inbound flight, so that's why we're running a little behind. But we're all ready to go here. Should be a nice 2-hour, 41-minute flight to Detroit today. Expecting mostly a
Detroit and Boston based flight attendants are excited to be here.
Welcome aboard, and thank you for flying with Delta. We are proud to be the official airline of Team USA.
Stow all carry-on items in an overhead bin. Place smaller items completely under the seat in front of you and stow larger electronic devices. Federal regulations require all customers to comply with all crew member instructions, along with the posted placards and lighted information signs throughout the cabin.
There are 12 exits on this plane, 8 doors, 4 on each side, and 4 window exits, 2 over each wing. 6 doors have detachable slides that can be used as racks.
Just your own mask before helping others. A water evacuation is also unlikely, but just in case, life vests are in a compartment beneath or adjacent to your seat. Wrap the strap around your waist, attach it to the buckle in front, and adjust securely around your waist. As you reach
As we get ready for takeoff, please settle in. And from all of our crew, we appreciate you and thank you for flying with Delta.
Advises that the departures northbound are all stopped. They don't know why. We don't think it's weather. I have a hunch it's due to air traffic controller staffing, but they don't know why. They don't know when it's going to reopen. So if you need to use the restrooms now, go ahead.
Alright, so in case you didn't really get it the first time, basically air traffic control is not letting anybody make a northern departure. And since Detroit is all the way up north, we're just sitting here right now. Fun fact, this BCAD aircraft parked out there stands for Broward County Aviation Department, and that's been there for over a decade. Every single time I've came here to Plane Spot, it has always been parked in that same exact area.
And folks on the flight deck, it's your first officer speaking. We are being told we do need to move the aircraft, so we do need everyone in their seats with their seatbelt fastened in order to move the aircraft. So if anyone is up and about the cabin, you can return to your seat, fasten your seatbelt, and we'll continue on our way. Thank you so much.
Climbing red.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, that's very steep.
6:55 to Detroit. We're officially in the air, so let's check out the IFE system on the 757-300. Right off the bat, there are a ton of language options. You have English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, to name a few. So we'll select English. And here we are. So they have a lot of options here, like movies, series, live TV, flight trackers, etc., as well as a little status bar right there. 2 hours and 27 minutes left to Detroit. We'll look at the flight tracker in a few minutes. For movies, there are a ton of options here, as you can see. You're able to filter it A to Z, critically acclaimed, however you want, even in other languages if you so choose. Series right here. A bit less of a selection, but that's completely okay. At least there are options. This one's my personal favorite, The Big Bang Theory. Live TV, ton of stations here. YouTube Music, because Delta is connected to YouTube Music. They used to be connected to Spotify. I don't know if they still are. A lot of options here, filtering options. My flight. And here's just some basic information, 757-300, and we're going to the Detroit Metropolitan Wayne County Airport. We should be arriving at 3:33. Delta also has a kids menu for movies, TV, YouTube Music, games. Everything that you get in the adult section is also available in the kids section, just different options. Responsive screen also. And then more games about Delta and feedback. So let's check out the flight tracker. Alright, here we are on the flight tracker. So if we zoom in there, as you can see, we departed Fort Lauderdale over the ocean a little bit, came back into the state. And then we're just going straight up north to Detroit. We're going to fly over Lake Erie, Ohio, Georgia probably. And here's just some information about our flight. Right now we're at 23,000 feet almost. And that right there is the Delta IFE system. Alright, and now it's time for Delta Wi-Fi on this older aircraft. I'm curious to see how it works. So first go to settings, click Delta Wi-Fi, then it should take you to deltawifi.com. So we're going to hit connect. And we're just going to copy the URL to continue, and then go to the browser. After that, we are on the website for Delta Wi-Fi. So we don't have an account, so we're going to purchase a flight pass. Very good deal here. The Wi-Fi costs $5 for the flight, so let's get that and check its speed. Alright, let's see the Wi-Fi speed. Right off the bat, very fast Wi-Fi for an airplane. Especially one that's 23 years old. It's fantastic. Hitting about like 14 megabits per second. Very good. Now let's do the ultimate test on Flight Radar 24. Alright, we are now on Flight Radar 24. Delta 655. Right here. Let's put on low power mode. And here we are at almost 32,000 feet near Orlando. And we have 2 hours and 8 minutes left to Detroit. We're scheduled to arrive at 3:26 local time at gate A28 in the McNamara terminal. Very cloudy day out, but out in the distance is the Florida Space Coast. Right before takeoff, flight attendants came through the cabin and gave us all this disposable headset for the IFE screen. And it also shows Delta's real commitment to environmental sustainability by using paper packaging. I like it a lot. It's a good idea. All the way out in the distance, the flight attendants are starting their in-flight service. And we just reached our cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. Alright, the in-flight service was just completed. I got a club soda and sun chips. So, cheers. Delta really does a good job of reducing plastic. They're right, that was refreshing. right now we're still arriving at 3:26 p.m. in Detroit. That's 32 minutes. And for all my pilots, we're squawks 23:54. Let's see where we are on the map. We're located to the right of Columbus, Ohio. And just like that, we've started our initial descent into Detroit, just south of Cleveland, Ohio. We have about 25 minutes left till we land. Right out there is the city of Cleveland, and then the water on the left side is Lake Erie. Alright, enough of that. It's time for the Travelman Rates Flight Edition. In this review of our flight, we'll be discussing the seat, the food, the in-flight entertainment, and the service. Let's get the show on the road with the seat. For a plane that's been flying for over 20 years, this seat was in shockingly good condition. Seriously, the 757's old enough to have a mortgage, a Costco membership, and strong opinions about property taxes, and somehow Delta has kept it looking brand new. The only problem? The legroom was tight. My knees in the seat in front of me became so close that by Detroit we were already exchanging Christmas cards. Comfortable seat, beautifully maintained cabin, just maybe leave your femurs at home. Seat gets a 4 out of 5. Next, the food. Delta absolutely delivered here. Great snack selection, plenty of drinks, and I really love their commitment to cutting down on single-use plastics. So not only did I get fed, hydrated, and sufficiently over-snacked, but I apparently was saving the planet at 35,000 feet. Greta Thunberg, your move. Great selection, great quality, and Mother Earth gets to keep a few extra sea turtles. 5 out of 5 for the food. Next, the in-flight entertainment. The Wi-Fi was fast, touchscreen worked like a charm, and I did not have to perform CPR on the screen just to select a movie. For a 20-year-old plane, I was half expecting a VHS player, but instead, everything worked perfectly. 5 out of 5 for the IFE. And finally, the service. The crew was fantastic, and our flight attendant in our part of the cabin even gave me a pair of Delta wings to remember the flight. So apparently I boarded as a passenger and landed in Detroit as a certified Delta pilot. Remember that, everybody. Huge shout out to the crew for making this flight so memorable. 5 out of 5. So with all of that, Delta's 757-300 service from Fort Lauderdale to Detroit earns a 19 out of 20. As usual, amazing Delta.
where the local time is 3:27. Please stay seated with your seatbelt fastened and carry-on items stowed until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign. Be careful when opening overhead bins to avoid injury from items that may have shifted during flight, and please ensure you have all of your personal belongings before deplaning. If you are expecting wheelchair assistance, please remain seated and we will inform you when a wheelchair is available. We sincerely apologize for the delay this afternoon and any inconvenience. If you have missed your connection, our Delta teams will automatically rebook you on the next available flight. You can download the Fly Delta app to access you and make changes to your itinerary on any mobile device. You can receive flight updates, boarding notifications, and text baggage information. On behalf of the Boston and Detroit-based crew, thank you for choosing Delta. We look forward to seeing you soon. Flight attendants, please disarm your doors for arrival cross-check and all calls.
Reset after the demo. So it's possible.
Bye, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
It's possible that it works together.
Don't worry.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Detroit Metropolitan Wayne County Airport, McNamara Terminal, Gate A28. All right, everybody, that is it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Our plane's headed right back to Fort Lauderdale. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. See you later.